Hi everyone, it's Jean from the Studio. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's a pleasure to spend a few minutes with you today. I am going to give you a short update on the Lighthouse Ocean journal that I'm working on, and then I'm going to move into showing you how I put together a floating pocket. Anyways, so this is what I've gotten so far. I've been using Mrs. Cog's beautiful printouts of different paintings and making collages from them. And and I'm putting in sea themed pages throughout here, lots of writing space, lots of lighthouses. I did want to show you one particular thing that I invented. Oh, I'm an inventor, right? Um, it's a simple little thing that has just helped me so much. I took a piece of chipboard and I poked a hole in the top and poked a hole down here and strung in some elastic. And the reason that I thought of this idea was that so often when I work in a journal, I hesitate to sew them in until I really feel satisfied with them, because I may at the last minute want to sew something in or work on something that just is a little bit more cumbersome when it's all sewn into the project, and that, or I can get rid of a sheet that just didn't turn out so well. So I kind of like to keep them loose, but when I work with them, it seems like they get all weed-jaw. I lose my place. Where was that page at? Didn't really want it to go with here, didn't want to go, it just, I don't know. And then I couldn't get a really good sense of what the feel was like inside of a journal. So I made this little board with this elastic so that all I have to do is just slip it in. And for me, it just feels like it's already in the book. And now I can kind of flip through and get a sense of what will this feel like or look like when I actually use it, or someone uses it as a journal. And if I find a page that I want to work on, then all I have to do is just slip out that page, and go work on it. And usually it lays like that, but you could probably always put like a clip, to make sure that the pages were apart. And then I know exactly where I need to go and slip the page back in. And it just has worked really well for me. So I thought I would share that with you in case, that's how you like to do your journals. Not lots of people go ahead and sew them in, which is totally a great option. I've done that in the past, and I've always been a little unhappy that I did it because of the way I work. So anyways, thought I would share that idea with you in case it would be helpful. So today I'm just going to work on this, do a little relaxed tutorial on this floating pocket that you can put inside your journals, freely. And so I watched two different videos. I'll link them down below. I watched Tina at Shabby Dabby Doodah and Gina at Firefly Studios, and I kind of combined both of their ideas into this, and kind of added my own, of course, personal touch because I'm doing an ocean theme. So I started out with, and I also wanted to use products I thought you would have laying around. This is a piece out of a cereal box. It can be any box, really. And what I like about these boxes is they're not quite as heavy as chipboard. Like, this is a chipboard, and it's pretty thick. It is lighter weight, but it's a little bit more than some of the cardstock you get. So it's just a little bit heavier. And I thought it'd be really good for a floating pocket that you would just stick inside of your journal. So I cut a piece, the size of your pocket, or the size of the base you want it to be. You're going to be putting pockets onto it, but the base that you like. And I got just paper from a book, an old book. You can use anything. You can use scrapbook paper, you can use tea stain paper, whatever paper music paper, anything that you can use that you can put over it without the images bleeding through, unless you like that particular look. But something that has a little weight. And if like the music paper is too thin, then use 2 sheets of music paper. You know, whatever. And I just simply go ahead and glue this on here. Make sure the edges are glued so that's a good seal all the way around. There we go. Okay, and I'll just put on this piece of paper, and I usually put on a bigger piece than my base that I'm working with, because to me that is so much easier to do that, and then just come along, you know, and cut off the edges. That way there's no pre-measuring or anything of that sort, and it's so easy to cut across something something thick like this. It's really easy to cut up close to it. Your scissors kind of naturally follow that line. So now here is the paper so far, and then I like to round the edges. I kind of like that particular look. I think it gives it sort of a finishing look. And I just do the top, but you could for sure do all 4, but I'm just kind of doing the top up there. And we'll just do this really quick. Just go through here, fast. All right. Now, I want to do this pocket, and I want to do this pocket now because it's ocean type of theme. I am concentrating on doing rustic type of decor. So, you know, you can modify this to whatever, you know, you're doing. Now, there's different things you can use for that really cool brown paper. I am, well, first of all, lots of times when I get things from Amazon or whatever, there'll be packing paper wrapped up inside of it, and I always save it. It's already pre-wrinkled. It's really cool. So I like to double it, just because I think it makes putting things in here a little easier and not so much wear and tear. So you can double that up, you know, and cut it to where you would like it to be. You can use bags, like little brown bags. I don't know about a grocery bag. I mean, I guess it would work. I don't know if you can get the crinkles on it really well, but like little brown bags, you might, you know, get something simple in. This happens to be wrapping paper from the Dollar Tree, and this side has, of course, the polka dots, but you can really use this back side, and by the time you put the wrinkles in and everything, you really aren't going to see the polka dots. However, if you're working on something shabby chic, you know, those polka dots might be kind of fun. So you can use something like this. I ended up using something I have an awful lot of, and I don't know if you followed Nick the Booksmith. About a year ago, she showed us how to print on this paper that is, it's general purpose masking paper. You get it at Walmart. It's under $3 and you get 60 yards. You get an awful lot. I use it for a lot of things, not just for crafting. So I always keep some on hand. But it is really cool paper to work with. It's just a new texture element that you can put, you know, even just as a page in your journal. You can just simply do that. So that is what actually I'm going to use, and I'm going to double it up because of that strength that I you know, really want to have. Alrighty, so I've cut my piece to fit on here. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our ink pad. And I'm using a Vintage Photo Distress ink, that color. And we're just going to wrinkle and scrunch it up, just like that. And then we're going to take little pieces of those scrunchies and we're just going to press in. Okay, we're not going to do a lot of rubbing. Just pressing in there. Of course, it will depend how juicy your ink pad is. If it's super juicy, it will be a light one. And if it's not juicy at all, you may have to press a little harder. But essentially what we were trying to do is we're just trying to get the edges, or just get the, the crinkly, the crinkled edges distressed. So it has, this kind of an appearance. And so the nice thing about this is that if you don't like this side, well, you start over on this side, right? So, yeah, that looks pretty good, for me. Maybe just do another one there. All right. Now, I also like to take the makeup brush and just do a little blending around. Kind of, color that area in a little bit. There we go, like that. There. Now I know Gina at Firefly Studio did not do the punching part that I did. She just simply went over it with the makeup brush. And it has another look too, and it's not quite as rustic though. But it does have, another worn, torn type of look if that's what you're after. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the sides here fast. Now, it is ready to put onto my tag, but I am going to sew around mine. I'm not going to glue it, but you could glue it. I don't know why not. And actually, before you glue it, you probably, if you want to distress, this would be the excellent time to do it. It would be a lot easier. So I'm going to step away then, and I'm going to get this sewn in, and I will return. Okay, I have sewn around it, and one heads up on sewing on the crinkled paper is that there will be these little tucks in here because of the crinkledness, and in order to keep it straight you may have to tuck it and sew over it in a few places, just a heads up on that. And it is it's definitely a texture, and it's definitely rough, when you go over it, but which is kind of cool. I just think it's just something different and neat and rustic looking about it. Now what I'd like to do is do the pocket for the back of it. And before I even get there, I am not going to cover the whole back of this. Now you could have, before you sewn it in, glued on a whole different piece of scrapbook paper on the back of it to give it a different look. I am pretty much keeping part of it, and I think it takes the ink well. Looks pretty good with that, and that's the way I'm going to do that as part of it. And let me grab my paper. So I'm going to choose this paper, and the rule of thumb that I like to follow is I like to cut the paper a little bit, almost like a ½ inch larger than your pocket, kind of as a rule of thumb, sort of like that there, right, just like that. And I start out first by folding in the bottom, kind of get a straight fold along there. And then I decide, where do I want the top of the pocket to be? So I'm thinking about right there. This is a good height and length for the pocket. Yep, that's about right. I double this over and I leave this large amount here because this reinforces the in and out. So no matter what your paperweight is, it should hold up, pretty well to that. And then it come the sides. So you want about that much there. And well, actually, how handy. This little color coming down here is about right for this side. And so just want to make some even folds on both sides. And I'm going to put this right here since I don't have a pen. Oh, really sad, isn't it? Don't have a pencil near me. But that will give me an idea of where to fold on the side. So we get that folded up. So this is basically going to be my pocket. Now, because we are gluing these, you could take a piece of paper and just glue it down flat and put down, glue in three sides and glue it down. You can do it, but it would make a tight pocket. By putting these little flaps here on the side and gluing the flaps down, you create a little bit more open, larger pocket that way. Don't need quite this large of sides, so I'm just going to cut this off here. Yep. Now you do have a lot of bulk, around these corners and such, which we need to get rid of. So if you can see where the folds come down, they meet at this little corner. We want to cut an angle piece off that comes really close to where that point is. So the point is like right here where all those folds come to. So we're just going to cut at an angle that way. Now when it comes to here, of course, I want to keep this flap as long as possible because of the strength. So to take out the bulk, I'm going to make that a little bit more obvious. To take the bulk out, I cut here and like that, and here and over here. I still take a little triangle off here, a little one up there, and just a slight one along here. I don't have to be exact or anything, but just so that you've got, this basic idea. And actually this needs to come over here like so. Nope, I'm sorry. It needs to go like this. Okay. Yeah, this needs to go on the inside. So we'll just glue this little feller down, this little flap here. Now what's nice about doubling up this particular flap area, or the slide in, slide out area, is you can put in a thumb punch if you would like a half hole, if you would like to do that. And it would still hold it very well because it's been doubled there. It's important to keep this, to put these sides down first and put this down last, so that you're not always, if you glue it in this particular way, your things are going to catch on here a lot. But if you glue it in this way, you have less likelihood of catching on to that. So, oh, before I glue, I need to ink really fast around here. Just like this. And we will take one last look at, now make sure you know which end is up before you glue it down. And the curved end is the one that's up. So if you feel it fits and you like the way it looks, then you're ready to glue her in. And so we'll get that started here. Just like that. Sorry for all the outside noise today. Yeah, I meant to have this done earlier in the day, and you know, I'm telling you, being home like this, I'm just finding more and more work. I'm just so busy now. I thought I would have way more time to craft than I'm having, actually. Something's kind of weird about that, but that's how that goes. So, kind of want this to be down like that. Okay. There we go. And we'll just stick her down here. Just like so. There you go. And so if you wanted to hole punch, you should have, of course, done it before you glued it down. But I'm not doing that this particular time. So there is the back punch, or back pocket. So even for something like this is kind of bulky. This is an envelope made out of cardstock with another little cardstock enclosure. So something even this bulky can now fit in there, where if it was just without those little sides and you just maybe just took a plain piece of paper, it would have been a lot snugger to get it in and out. And I just wanted to point that out to you. Now the last thing that needs to be done is the eyelets. And we will put the eyelet hole right up in this little curvy area. There. And then you gotta kind of decide, you know, which side do you want to be. This is going to be my, you know, quote unquote front side, so I'm putting the eyelet like that. Take my crocodile, set my little eyelet. So that's just basically what I wanted to show you today, is how to make what I'm calling a little floating pocket. And so the two ladies down below that gave me inspiration to do this, I'll list those down there. And I hope you have a good rest of the day, and hang in there and be positive. And every day gets us closer to getting back to what we may think is like a normal life. Anyways, I'm thinking about you all, so you all stay healthy and safe, and we will see you again. Bye.